provide services to their patients. We're seeing more practices leveraging technology to conduct virtual patient consultations, while overall demand for aesthetic procedures continues to be healthy. Total RHA sales for the fourth quarter exceeded our internal expectations, totaling $10 million. For the full year, product sales were $12.9 million. While we are still early in our commercial launch, we are seeing solid productivity from the accounts that are adopting RHA with strong reorder rates and a growing share of wallet within these accounts. We continue to be disciplined in our account selection, focusing primarily on prestige accounts that value patient outcomes and experience over discounts. Through Revance U, we're making great progress in educating and training our target customers. Despite the evolving COVID landscape, our team has been able to leverage different forms of face-to-face training in all markets, as well as a robust virtual training program, utilizing highly experienced trainers from across the globe to provide an interactive training experience. During the quarter, we also launched the RHA Collection Flawless in Motion campaign. The campaign educates consumers about our innovative hyaluronic acid, or HA, dermal fillers that address two primary consumer values: the desire for a natural look and clean beauty. It highlights the RHA Collection as the only FDA-approved HA filler designed for the correction of dynamic wrinkles and folds. The filler is also prepared by a gentle manufacturing process that preserves the natural structure of the HA, helping it resemble the natural HA found in the skin. We also executed social influencer campaigns and targeted digital media campaigns across channels with the goal of driving consumers to the practices that carry the RHA Collection. Turning to HintMD, we gained traction and expanded processing volumes to an annualized run rate of over $200 million in Q4. We believe these results demonstrate both the resilience of the aesthetics market as well as the synergies created with the RHA Collection. With our current focus to add value to practices through payment processing and touchless smart payments, we are progressing our plans to release the next generation of HintMD in mid-2021 with vertical payback integration and additional features. Altogether, our field force doubled our aesthetic accounts across RHA and HintMD from the third quarter. We ended the year with over 1,000 counts combined, which we expect to grow over time under our prestige strategy. In preparation for the anticipated FDA approval for our next-generation neuromodulator, daxibotulinumtoxinA for injection in glabellar lines, we continue to build out and test the infrastructure, operations, and back-office support to ensure a smooth launch upon approval. Successful launch of the RHA Collection has paved the way for strategic investment of resources to ensure that the onboarding and integration of our next-generation neuromodulator into the practice will be smooth. The aesthetics foundation that we are laying today, along with the positive Phase 2 upper facial line study, will undoubtedly serve as a strong launch pad for daxibotulinumtoxinA for injection upon approval. Further, pre-market approval application, or PMA, for RHA-1 for perioral lip lines has been submitted to the FDA by our partner Teoxane SA. They are anticipating an approval in the second half of the year. Once approved, RHA will be a great addition to our collection. While we are still early in our launch in continued uncertain market conditions, we are encouraged with our market inroads and incredibly proud of what all of our commercial team has accomplished. We remain focused on our long-term growth prospects in a thriving aesthetics industry. Now I'll turn the call over to Toby to cover the fourth quarter and full year financials.
Thanks, Dustin. The earnings release we issued today outlines our financial results in full, so I'll touch on the highlights on this call. Total revenue was $15.3 million for the full year 2020. The breakdown for full year revenues was $12.9 million from the RHA Collection, $2.0 million from our Viatris partnership, and $0.4 million from the HintMD platform, an acquisition you will recall we closed on July 23rd, 2020. GAAP operating expenses were $288.5 million for the year. Excluding RHA-related in-process R&D, stock-based compensation, depreciation and amortization, and costs of revenue, non-GAAP operating expenses were $225.8 million for the year. Both were in line with our previously announced guidance. Cash equivalents, and short-term investments as of December 31st, 2020, were $436.5 million, which we believe is sufficient to extend our cash runway into 2024, underlying our current operating plan. We are very pleased to be in the strongest cash position in our company's history, supported by our first product revenues and successful financings, including proceeds from our ATM facility. In terms of outlook, 2021 GAAP operating expenses are expected to be in the range of $375 to $390 million compared to our non-GAAP operating expenses range of $270 to $285 million. As a reminder, non-GAAP operating expenses exclude cost of revenue, depreciation and amortization, and stock-based compensation. We expect 2021 non-GAAP research and development expense, including HintMD, to be $95 to $105 million. In terms of future revenue, we do not feel it is prudent to provide guidance given the early stage of our RHA Collection and HintMD platform launches and the continued uncertainty fueled by the COVID-19 pandemic. Finally, Revance's shares outstanding as of February 12, 2021 were approximately 71.4 million with 76.5 million fully diluted shares, excluding the impact of convertible debt. With that, I'll turn the call over to Mark.
Thank you, Toby. We believe that our strong financial position and innovations behind our aesthetics and therapeutics franchises will enable us to be a formidable competitor in the established markets that we enter. To that end, we look forward to building on the progress we made in 2020 by continuing to invest in innovation and unlocking additional value for our shareholders in 2021. Before I conclude, I want to note that we published our first ESG report earlier this year, which detailed our commitments and efforts to build strong corporate governance and operate sustainably and responsibly. This is an important pledge by the entire Revance team and our board of directors to further our efforts in building long-term value for all of our stakeholders, particularly as we enter the commercial stage of our evolution. We look forward to advancing our ESG program in the years ahead. On that note, I'd like to highlight our latest governance update. Earlier today, we announced the addition of two new independent directors, Olivia C. Ware and Carrie O'Connor-Kalaja, to our board. Olivia brings deep experience across commercial, clinical development, and portfolio management from leading firms including Principia, CytRx, Genentech, and Baxter. Carrie is a recognized thought leader and executive in the fintech and payment space, having served as the Global Chief Product Officer at Citi Fintech and Vice President of Global Consumer Products at PayPal. Their backgrounds and experiences will be invaluable to our board and organization as we advance our growth initiatives. In that press release, we also announced that two of our long-standing directors, Phyllis Gardner and Bob Burns, have decided to retire from the board and not stand for re-election at this year's annual shareholder meeting. The announcement is consistent with our new 12-year director tenure policy that aims to facilitate board refreshment while also enhancing diversity. Both Phyllis and Bob have served on the Revance board for over 15 years and have made invaluable contributions to the organization all along the way. In particular, they played pivotal roles in guiding Revance through our clinical development, financings, IPO, and more recently, our commercial debut. So on behalf of the entire organization, I want to express our sincere gratitude to Phyllis and Bob for their service and contributions to Revance. With that, I will now open the call up for questions. Operator?
Thank you, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question at this time, please press the star, then the number 1 key on your touch-tone telephone. If your question has been answered or wish to remove yourself from the queue, please press the pound key. Your first question is from Ken Cacciatore from